So welcome back to another rebuild here on NBA 2K25 Next Gen. In today's video, we are back with another episode of our offseason rebuild series, and today it's going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves. For the second straight season, the Timberwolves made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals. Unfortunately for them, for the second straight season, they also got their ass kicked and did not make an NBA Finals appearance. It is very obvious to me that Anthony Edwards is a superstar, even at 23 years old. Outside of that, though, there definitely needs to be some work done on this roster. I think the Timberwolves are in for a very interesting offseason. I think the time is now to make some upgrades. Hopefully they're able to do that in real life. Hopefully we're able to do that here today in 2K, get this team a championship. I, of course, will give you some more of my thoughts on this team, where I think things went wrong, and all that fun stuff once we get into the video. But, of course, before we do, as always, let me know any other rebuild ideas down below in the comments section. Of course, after this, I'm actually recording this on Saturday, so I have no idea if the Knicks and Pacers series is over yet. If not, we'll, eventually get to that rebuild, and then, of course, the Oklahoma City Thunder as well. So let me know everything you guys want to see down below. Excited for this one today. Let's get into it. It is now the 2025 offseason. We're going to get into it. We're going to break down this roster, some moves I think that are necessary and certainly on the horizon. Now, before we go ahead and discuss this roster, I will let you guys know something. Throughout the player retirement period, Mike Conley officially called it a career. Will he be doing so in real life? I have absolutely no idea, but he's 37 years old, of course, one of the oldest players in the league, and here in 2K, called it a career. I'm not going to lie to you, he probably wasn't coming back for us anyway, so it is what it is. Heck of a career, Mike. All right, let's discuss this roster at hand. Of course, there is certainly some talent on this team. There is definitely some depth, but I do not think that this team is necessarily, a favorite to win it all if we were to run it back. All right, starting out here at the point guard spot. Obviously, we lost Mike Conley, so that is one name that is off the board that, of course, we will not be able to use here today. Dante DiVincenzo was part of the Karl Anthony Towns trade with the New York Knicks, a deal that, for the vast majority of the season looked like a pretty big win-win for both sides. We'll get to Randall, of course, momentarily, but, Cat's been really strong for New York so far, and I thought DiVincenzo definitely took a little bit of a while to find his role. I'm not going to lie, actually, preseason, I had him predicted as my sixth man of the year. Of course, that did not happen. But, I think in the playoffs, he definitely stepped up, especially later on into that Thunder series, but just a little bit too little, too late. So, will he be my starting point guard the entire video? I think the obvious answer to that is no, but he can be a nice rotation piece for me. Rob Dillingham, I think, is going to be one of the keys for this team. Of course, they made the draft night trade, acquired the 8th overall pick. They drafted him, and again, there wasn't a lot of minutes for him, but I think in terms of this team real life moving forward, his development is going to be pretty key, because that point guard spot is certainly one of, if not the weakest position on this team moving forward. Now, the shooting guard spot, Anthony Edwards, was a little bit inconsistent. I'll say that. In my opinion, he's a 23-year-old superstar. It happens to everybody. These are the learning pains, the growth that players have to go through. He is going to be one of the best players in this league for a very long time. Anthony Edwards is pretty much the least of my concerns with this team. So hopefully he's going to be able to carry us to the promised land. 2K loves Anthony Edwards. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, unfortunately, in real life, is probably gone. They're going to have to pick likely 2 of the 3 of Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Naz Reid, and Julius Randle. I just don't think the Timberwolves are going to really be able to find a way to pay all 3 of them, so I'm assuming Alexander Walker is probably the one that they are going to let go. It sucks. I thought he was pretty consistent for them throughout the most part. Again, had a really tough final game 5 for him, but ultimately he's still only 26 years old. I thought he was really, really key in their rotation, so it's going to be a tough loss, but replacing him could be Terrence Shannon Jr., who I thought gave him some really strong minutes. I thought defensively he really kind of held his own, and again, he's only 24 years old. So, I'm not sure if we'll be able to bring back Nickeil Alexander-Walker here in 2K. Of course, this is not a realistic rebuild, but if not, Terrence Shannon Jr. probably going to get a little bit of run for us here today. Now, the small forward spot. Jaden McDaniels is one of the premier on-ball defensive players in basketball. There is absolutely no denying that. Here in 2K, I don't know if that impact is always felt as strong. In real life, I don't think they're going to be moving Jaden McDaniels. He is certainly making a lot of money. There is no denying that, but he's still only 24 years old. I do think there is some room for his offensive game to grow, and again, he's already one of the strongest defensive players in the world. So, I'm excited here today. I'm not saying he's 100% going to be here all 3 years, because again, his impact, doesn't really get felt as much here in 2K. He's more, a Draymond Green, but we will see. Jalen Clark, it's going to be about development. If he ends up, progressing in the overall department, maybe he's my backup small forward. If not, we'll probably look elsewhere. The power forward spot, Julius Randle, who has a $33 million player option, something like that along the lines. This offseason, he was absolutely nails for them in the Golden State series. He was their best player on the court, in my opinion. I think ultimately, when you look at the run the Timberwolves did just have, yes, they played a Warriors team without Steph Curry. But ultimately, when you look at Julius Randle and where he was in that series as a whole, I think he was the best player on the floor. I do truly, genuinely believe that. So that was great. And then we got to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and things were a little bit more challenging because he's supposed to be the second option on this team. And at times he looked really, really bad on both sides of the ball. So, I don't know if it was just the Thunder's game plan to leave him out in space and try to make him create on his own, but I just didn't really see Julius Randle looking competent for the majority of that series. So, he picked it up eventually, but I have no idea what we're going to do with him here today. If he's consistent, he stays. If he doesn't, goodbye. Josh Minott, Leonard Miller, 22, 21 years old. Again, it's going to be kind of similar. Development goes well, probably in the rotation. And then finally, the center spot. Oh, my God. Whew. Rudy Gobert is a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. He's going to be a Hall of Famer whether you like it or not. But, oh, my God, I understand his job is not to score the basketball at a high level, but it felt like everything that Oklahoma City Thunder wanted the Timberwolves to do in terms of an offensive game plan, they did. Rudy Gobert had the ball in space way too much. And for God knows what reason, as a 7'1" center, he was 36, I think, % at the rim. Now, I understand he's not prime Shaq out here, but there's just not a planet that can happen on. I understand Rudy Gobert is not an offensive-oriented player. I get it. But there's two sides of the basketball. This isn't football. He has to be able to be a little bit competent on the offensive side of the ball, and he just wasn't. And it was a really big detriment to this team. I thought Naz Reid gave them more for the majority of the series, and we'll see, man. I'm not a Gobert fan. I'm sure many of you know that. I don't know. Apologies, Timberwolves fans, if that hurt, but it's kind of the reality. Like, I genuinely, it hurts to watch this man when he has the basketball in his hands. Like, genuine pain. It's awful. All right, let's get into staff signing. Chris Finch, I saw some Timberwolves fans a little bit upset with his rotations. I think Chris Finch is a good head coach. I don't have any plans of moving on from him here today. If we vastly underachieved for the first 2 seasons, maybe we consider a different move, but I'm good there for now. All right, we have the 17th overall pick. Really? Do we really? Because I set this, exactly the way that NBA.com. Let me just make sure of that real quick. Pretty happy to report that both of these picks are accurate, so I guess I'm proud of myself. This number 17 overall is from Detroit via New York, Oklahoma City, and Houston. The actual Timberwolves pick is at number 21. That's going to Utah. And then the second round pick that we have, obviously first overall pick in round 2, is via the Utah Jazz. So both of those are correct. All right, I think I'm going to draft somebody at both spots. I think there's a possibility one of these guys eventually gets into the rotation. I'm not saying it'll be year 1. Again, worst comes to worst, they're a relatively valuable trade piece. Asa Newell sitting here. I've drafted him before. It's not my favorite thing to, repetitively get players, but when we look at the depth on this team, power forward, especially the backup, is certainly a big one, and he, of course, is the highest rated prospect here, according to our scouting department. So, Asa Newell, welcome to Minnesota. We're also going to draft somebody, Bogdan Markovic, Nye Broom, JT Toppin, Cam Jones. So these are 3 power forwards here. These, unfortunately, are all the highest ranked players available here, according to our scouting department. Yeah, I think Rocky Zakarski is going to be my pick. He's a guy I've drafted before. He doesn't really necessarily develop super well, but, given what else we have, it's fine. 69 overall, goddamn. All right, Randall declines. I'll be interested to see what Randall actually does this offseason. I think there's a possibility he may end up accepting because, unfortunately, the new reality, of the new CBA is that there's not a lot of teams floating out there with a bunch of cap space. So, outside of Julius Randle either joining, the Minnesota Timberwolves and back on his player option or finding common ground and signing an extension with them, I don't really know where else he goes because there's not a lot of teams out there that are going to be willing to pay Julius Randle what he wants. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense. Naz Reid's very likely to decline his player option. He's somebody I'm very interested in bringing back. And then, of course, here in an unrealistic rebuild, we're bringing back everybody. All right, qualifying offers. None there. Of course, the big 3 in terms of free agents for us are going to be Randle, Alexander Walker, and Reed. Bones Highland also here. I think he was on a 2-way deal. I have to make sure I get Randle back. He's my first priority. He wants about $33 million annually. Fortunately for me here in 2K, I can kind of just pay everybody and not really have to worry about it too much. So, unfortunately for the Timberwolves in real life, that's not really the way it works. But again, unrealistic rebuild. Welcome back, all 3 of you. It is definitely time to make a trade. For God knows what reason, the Orlando Magic are willing to deal us Jalen Suggs and Jed Howard for Rudy Gobert, Josh Minott, and Jalen Clark. We are going to accept this deal because obviously point guard is a really big position of need for me right now. Again, I've mentioned this before. I'm not a really big Rudy Gobert fan, and his impact kind of similar to Jaden McDaniels. Not really, but it's just really not felt here in 2K. And he's going to regress. So, swinging the deal here with Orlando, picking up 24-year-old Suggs, 21-year-old Howard. I understand Jalen Suggs is a guy I get from time to time. I will certainly try to lay off doing that a bit moving forward. But that's a really big first trade, and likely leaves Naz Reid as our new starting center moving forward. We are now in the market for a new backup center. Of course, as we just mentioned, Naz Reid will likely be taking over starting, for year 1 at least. And Dante DiVincenzo is really not needed in this rotation because Rob Dillingham is going to develop. He's going to be the new backup behind Jalen Suggs. Along with this, we're sending out Luka Garza. Picking up Isaiah Stewart here from the Detroit Pistons, 24 years old, of course, a multi-year deal. We're also getting a first-round draft pick in 2026, which will be next year's draft. All right, so we're pretty good everywhere. I think everybody is on a multi-year contract, which is really good. Unfortunately, I just don't really have a spot for Terrence Shannon Jr. after bringing back Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Eventually I'll have to make a decision there, but of course they'll both have multiple years left. Jett Howard actually will end up playing a little bit behind McDaniels. Or do I want to find out, would I prefer to play Terrence Shannon Jr. there? I might. I'm not going to lie to you. I think if I move him to small forward, he goes up to a 77, and it's really just going to be about the progression for both of them because they're both still on their rookie scale contracts. Of course, Alexander Walker will be behind Edwards, so I'm thinking it might be Shannon. If Howard magically gets up to a 79, maybe he gets the nod behind McDaniels, but it's probably going to be Shannon for now. Newell will be behind Randall. Leonard Miller is still here. He does have a year of team control remaining, I believe. Yes, he does. And then we're good at the center spot now. So that's kind of the revamped Timberwolves in terms of our offseason moves. Are we better than there were before? I'll leave that up to you, and we'll leave that up to 2K. We'll see what our record is. But I'll see you guys at the start of year one with this rotation. Start of the first season here in Minnesota. We have finalized this 10-man rotation. I also didn't mention this, at all when we were in the offseason, but I think I need to now just because it's reminding me seeing Jalen Suggs. I despise these Timberwolves jerseys. I need them so desperately to do some sort of rebrand. I'm not saying change the logo, change the colors, all that, but there has to be a better way to find better jerseys. What happened to those slick, elite white Wolves jerseys we saw in the 2024 playoffs? What happened to those? Those were unbelievable. What is this? This two-tone blue pastel with some random white line over Minnesota is awful. And I'm sorry, Timberwolves fans, if you like your jerseys. I despise them. I think many other people think the same way. Holy shit. I mean, there's just I hate that. I genuinely, you know what I'm talking about, right? Go look at, the series from 2024 against, who was it? They played Dallas. Go watch those. Those jerseys were elite. Nonetheless, let's get back to this. We saw the backcourt. Jaden McDaniels, of course, here at my 3. He's developing a little bit up to an 85. Of course, brought back Julius Randle. And then Naz Reid actually went down in overall. Thought maybe he'd go up, especially now that he not only got paid, but also got the starting center job. So, okay. Nickeil Alexander-Walker will be my 6-man. Rob Dillingham is developing up to a 78. Isaiah Stewart will be my backup center. Terrence Shannon Jr., the backup small forward, and then Massa Newell, the backup power forward. Now, unfortunately, Jett Howard actually went up to a 76, so it's going to be, no real rotation minutes for him, but of course, we'll decide something this offseason. But that's the team for now, of course, led by Chris Finch. Hopefully, this team is good enough to be a top 4 seed. Of course, we take a look at the run the Timberwolves just had. They did that all as a 6 seed. And I understand the West is a little bit different compared to the Eastern Conference, but we shall see together at the end of year number 1. I mention all the time how much this game really loves the Dallas Mavericks, and I think in some sense I forgot that they also really love the Minnesota Timberwolves because, don't get me wrong, this team I thought had a chance to be good, top 4 seed. I didn't think we were going to be 66-16 good, which was what our final record was. So, really great first regular season here nonetheless. Jokic takes a season off from winning the MVP awards, and he is right back to doing so. Cooper Flagg fell to 3rd overall, and he is a Philadelphia 76er. Josh Giddey, now a member of the Charlotte Hornets. You got Giannis winning DPOY. Zaire Williams, most improved. Jokic also wins Clutch Player of the Year. And our head coach, Mr. Chris Finch, your coach of the year. You can see we are the 1 seed there. In the West, we won it by 4 games over Dallas. Okay, let's talk about the East, as I suspected. Let's go over some of the numbers for this team. I imagine Anthony Edwards led us in scoring. He did 20.5 points a game, about 6 boards, 4 assists. Julius Randle looking like a really solid second option. Naz Reid, of course, a little bit more consistent playing time now that he is in the starting lineup. Jalen Suggs, not too bad. Rob Dillingham, McDaniels, Shannon Jr., Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Stewart, and then Newell. Rebound department going to be led by Naz Reid, and then assist is Jalen Suggs. Whoops. All right, round 1. It is us and the Los Angeles Clippers here. Trey Mann, Chris Dunn, now their backcourt. Got Norman Powell, still got Kawhi Leonard and Zubats, Derek Jones Jr., Ben Simmons. It's a solid squad. They did end up losing James Harden, but I think we're better anyways. So we're 2-2 right now. We are okay. Wow. We get bounced in round number 1. Very disappointing. Yeah, I need Ant to be a little better than that. 23 points a game is not terrible, but you put up 28, 29 a game throughout the regular season. You're by far our best player, clearly our number 1 scoring option. And even though he's only 24, he definitely has some playoff experience. So I need him to be better. No denying that. Randall was really strong. He was not the problem. Naz Reid, Jalen Suggs, Alexander Walker. Yeah, McDaniels just doesn't really score, unfortunately. And again, it's not really his job to score, but it's just, again, it's one of those things that impact like that really isn't felt here in 2K, unfortunately. So, disappointing ending to year one. Again, I don't want to overreact and completely blow this team up or anything. I don't think that's necessary. Dallas wins it all. Anthony Davis, your finals MVP. There might be one or two changes on the bench, but I don't think there's going to be a starting trade this season. I mean, at least I don't think so, unless the perfect deal comes along, in my opinion. All right, draft lottery time. I think we traded for a first this year. But it's from the Pistons. They were in the finals. It's not going to be anything like that. We end up with... Didn't we? Where? Oh, we're at number 18. Didn't the Pistons make the finals? Maybe they were a really low seed. I don't know. Chris Finch has another year left, so we're not going to fire him now. Not that I ever was, even if we had a really disappointing playoff exit. If we have another disappointing season next year, I probably just won't bring him back. So pretty simple. All right, so 18th overall pick. Definitely not nothing. Also have 25 via the Cleveland Cavaliers, then the last pick in round number 2. So, I don't think I really need to use both. That was actually a horrible trade. What the fuck was I doing there? Oh, what a terrible deal. What am I doing? I don't think I need both these picks. We've obviously drafted, last year, and I think we do still have some pretty good depth. I could include these trades or both these picks to maybe move up and draft one player, or maybe I include them both in a bigger deal and acquire, a new player in general. So we'll see. I know I just got done talking about how I don't think we necessarily need to make an upgrade in this starting 5, but Naz Reid didn't really impress me a ton. Now, I'm not expecting him to put up, 25 and 15 or anything like that, but, I think if we were to upgrade anywhere in the starting 5, it's probably the lowest overall, which happens to be Naz Reid. So I know Timberwolves fans love him. I totally understand why you do, but we have to take emotion away from things here in 2K when I'm trying to win a championship. Vita Zubac is a clear-cut upgrade, whether you believe that or not. I certainly do. So we're offering up Naz Reid, the 2 first-round picks we have this year, and hopefully the team that just beat us in round 1 is willing to swing some sort of deal. Now, unfortunately, a lot of these contracts we have down here, like I'm not trading Austin Newell, they're expired. I have to pick up the team options. So we're probably going to have to... it's easier than I thought. All right, so no more draft picks for us this year, which is cool. Team player options, everybody here will be brought back, and again, we'll probably reassess, what we do with all those guys, considering the majority of them are going to end up being expired this offseason. But we're in a pretty good spot right now. Again, another move is definitely on the horizon, just because I don't like letting contracts kind of expire, for no reason. So we'll consider what we want that to be. Kind of the boring route, but it's the route I think makes most sense for us. Jett Howard was probably not playing over Terrence Shannon Jr. at my backup small forward spot, for a couple different reasons. One, Shannon Jr. has a higher overall and probably still will be at the start of year 2. And second, and more importantly, he has an extra year of team control, where Jett Howard is expiring. Would have been restricted, but is expiring this offseason. So we're sending him to Memphis. We're going to get their unprotected first-round pick next year. I have no idea why it's 2.5 stars. I do not imagine this team is going to be in the lottery next season, but a first-round pick is a first-round pick. And unfortunately, we're going to be doing the same exact thing with Rocky Zakarski, who we did draft in round 2. So if we're able to get any sort of real draft pick for him, I think that's a pretty good move for us. Thank you very much, Charlotte Hornets. Okay, at this point, I think we're going to kind of just run this thing. Of course, made the big move at the center spot. Leonard Miller can probably go as well. Thank you very much, Chicago. We now have 3 first-round picks next year. Elite, elite, elite. And everybody, of course, still on multi-year deals. So, one upgrade, I think it's going to be beneficial for us. I am really hoping that this team can not only be back to being a 1 seed, but hopefully have a real playoff run this time. There is absolutely no denying that we had a really great first regular season. We had the best record in basketball. We were the 1 seed overall in the league, and then it all came crashing down as we lost in round 1 to a play-in team. Disappointing. This offseason, we ended up making one move. It is Ivica Zubac is now our starting center. Outside that, the starting 5 of Jalen Suggs, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, and Julius Randle all remains the same. Bench unit pretty similar as well with Rob Dillingham, who's now going to be our 6th man. He's our new highest overall. Still got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Isaiah Stewart, Austin Newell, and Terrence Shannon Jr. So, this team's really elite. I think they play both sides of the ball really, really well and at a high level. And hopefully we're a similar spot in the regular season and have a much, much different result come playoff time. See you guys at the end of year 2. Such a great way to cap off another really strong regular season here in Minnesota. Not only does Anthony Edwards take home the MVP award, but he carries us to a 72-win season. I am feeling really good right now, my friends. AJ DeBance, the Rookie of the Year. He is a New Orleans Pelican. Anthony Simons coming off the bench in Portland. Wemby wins Depoy. VJ Edgecombe, Most Improved. Giannis wins Clutch Player of the Year. And Chris Finch, Coach of the Year once again. All right, we are once again the 1 seed here in the West. No surprise by that. We did have the best record in all of basketball. And, yeah, I mean, it's got to be the year, right? You'd like to think so anyways. So here's a look. All the numbers across the board. Anthony Edwards, of course, won MVP for us. He was absolutely incredible. And hopefully he is now ready to carry us to the promised land. So here's a look at the Warriors. Really not a lot of help for Steph Curry in terms of star power, but Steph still doing his thing at age 39. Holy shit. All right, first round of the playoffs. Did not go well for us last year. We split the first two on our home floor. Oh, boy. Drop game 3, tied up 2-2. We go up 3-2. That's big. We have finally won a series, my friends. Thank you, Jesus. Moving on to the Houston Rockets here. Josh Giddey, now a Rocket. Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Ben Thompson, Şengün Whitmore. This is a really good and really deep team. They have 390-plus overalls, an 88 and an 84 in that starting 5. So they might be better than us. I don't know if they are or not. Well, okay, maybe not. We sweep them. Okay. West Finals, oh boy. It is a battle, I can't fucking speak. A battle of two of 2K's favorite teams. Because, of course, the Dallas Mavericks always do really well in these sims. And they somehow always draft Ace Bailey first overall. It's very interesting. This team is really good. Again, no denying that. Hopefully we can finally get to the finals. Oh, boy. 2-2 right now. That's a big Game 5 victory. And we close them out in 6. And we are taking on the Atlanta Hawks here in Trae Young in the NBA Finals. It is Young, Dyson Daniels, Reza Shea, Johnson, Okongwu. You got Jalen Williams, Cason Wallace. Oh, boy. What trade did they make? Lend these two members of the Oklahoma City Thunder. All right, it is the time for the NBA Finals. Really good start. We're up 3-0. Hopefully, we can sweep the Atlanta Hawks out of their own building, get a little gameplay here. We, of course, can discuss the Timberwolves a little bit further, but I'm feeling pretty good right now, and hopefully we'll be looking to go back-to-back come off-season time. This one's going to be a closely contested game. I'll see you in there. Just as a heads up, in case you have, never really watched one of my videos, I am awful at this game, like the gameplay part of it. Never good, never have been, probably never will be. But I will do my best right now, and I hate Dillingham. Oh, that's fucking huge. Rob Dillingham ties the game 103 apiece. Yeah, as I mentioned, never been good, but have certainly, always tried to do my best in these situations. So Dillingham now getting cooked by Trae Young, and we are back to being down. Oh, it looks like Jalen Suggs fouled out, unfortunately. All right, well, Anthony Edwards going to... Oh, did Jaden McDaniels foul out too? God, that is just really shitty. Ant just dived to the rim. Edwards, layup is good. All right, 24, 8, and 5 on the night. Oh, my God. Anthony Edwards is showboating a bit here in a tied ball game with 1:45 left to go. All right, we're going to hang out with Ant still over on Cason Wallace. Hopefully, Dillingham's able to do a pretty good job against Trae. I need him to... Oh, my God, he missed. Ant with another rebound. That's his 9th on the night. Let's just run the floor. Run the floor, run the floor. Get out of my way. Oh, my God. A little body bump to Trae Young right there. And the chef's kiss. Whoo! Anthony Edwards. Oh, my God. The Hawks are still looking to get some substitutions in, which they... Oh, my God. Which they now will be able to do, but we're not able to, stop the ball before. And, of course, they only had one timeout. I got a little jumpy. I fouled Trae Young. Yeah, as I mentioned, there is no real backup here. Would I prefer Nickeil Alexander-Walker in for defensive purposes? Well, it's a little late now. I almost might in some ways. You know what? Maybe I take a timeout here. I'm going to take a timeout here. I'm going to do that because I think offense is important, but I think Anthony Edwards is going to be the majority of that offense. So, I'm not going to get into a pissing contest about who I think is better, Nah versus Rob Dillingham right now. But I think with Ant, being the primary ball handler anyways, I think it makes some more sense. So, starters in the game, here's what we're going to do. I actually probably want to put Walker at the 1 because I want him matched up against Trae Young. And then, yeah, it's probably going to be Terrence Shannon Jr. Everybody has fouled out. All right, that's fine. That's what we're going to do. Holy shit, this is stressful, but we have a really elite defensive lineup on the floor right now. Again, just kind of the pressure off a little bit. Oh, shit, I didn't realize Dyson Daniels is going to be back in and guarding Anthony Edwards one-on-one. Let's just work here with Ant. Hopefully he's able to... Oh, my God. Daniels has me in fucking jail. This is bad. No foul called? Oh, my God. Randall with a big rebound puts it back up. Holy shit. I do not know how Randall got that, but thank you very much, Julius. All right, so now we have Nickeil Alexander-Walker matched up against Trae Young, which I think is certainly preferable versus the smaller-bodied Dillingham. He's going to... He threw it away. He threw it already. Our decision's coming to fruition. This is what we fucking love to see, baby. It's what we love to see. All right. No disrespect to Julius Randle, but Anthony, you know what? Fine. Just give Randle the ball. I don't know why Julius Randle would ever be getting the ball here. That's not what I meant to do. Give Anthony Edwards the basketball. Give me a screen. Randle. A real screen. He just gets over those so well. And to the rim. What the fuck? Holy shit. We had a little... My God. It is now a 2-possession game. They are not going to use their timeout. Anthony Edwards is just playing out of this world right now. We have gone to him pretty much every possession. And oh my God, we stuffed Trae Young. They're immediately going to foul Anthony Edwards. Trae Young is also fouled out with 39 points. And we basically hit those free throws and we're relatively speaking, home free. What a performance from Anthony Edwards. We hit this free throw, gives him 30 on the night, and he is probably well on his way to his first finals MVP. Oh my God, I missed the fucking free throw. God damn it. First finals MVP after winning regular season MVP. So, wow. It's not often I play well in these videos in the gameplay part of it, but this feels like one of the... Oh, shit. I got to focus here a little bit. I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit. I'm going to get Anthony Edwards back to the line. All right. That was bad. I got to hit a couple free throws here with Ant, and still, hypothetically speaking, should be good. First one up, and it is good. His release is a little strange. Like, it looks pretty simple, like the timing of it, but that bar throws me off, especially when the screen's shaking. That one we get to go. That's 31 on the night. Atlanta's going to take their final timeout. We're not making any changes. If we were, down and had the ball, I may consider putting Dillingham back in, but there's no reason to really fix what hasn't really been broken so far. So, 4-point ball game, 15.7 left on the clock here. Of course, trying to sweep the Atlanta Hawks out of their own building. No Trae Young left for Atlanta, and we just got to try to deny ball here the best we can. They're going to give it over to Reza Shea. He's going to go over to Dyson Daniels, who shoots it, misses it. I took the timeout. I didn't really have to, but this one is pretty much over. The Atlanta Hawks have been swept out of their own building, and Anthony Edwards, after winning a regular season MVP, now wins finals MVP. I really can't speak today. All right, it is time for the final offseason. There will probably be, little to no changes. There's really not a reason to change much because, again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We traded for a lot of draft picks here, and it looks like a couple of them are going to be in the lottery. Oh, boy. Oh, my God. We have the second overall pick. And we traded, who did we trade for that? Like Jordan Miller? I mean... God, I love this game sometimes. We obviously would... What the hell? Why does it make it like... I feel like Chris Finch should just be at the top there, right? You win a championship. He's, our own head coach. Just my take. So we have some draft capital. 2, 11, and 22. I don't really know what I do with this pick. I'm not going to lie to you. I really don't. I mean, maybe I upgrade the backup power forward spot, but the starting 5 probably not changing. So, just curious. Just curious. You get number 1. Could get Şengün in 3. I mean, it's no real reason to do that. It's the starting 5 has worked. I mean, I don't know, man. You know what? I'll just probably trade them all for number 1. Who had number 1? Was it the Rockets? I think it was the Rockets. Like, at this point, I always hate... I don't hate, but, like, it's annoying when this happens in year... Oh, no, it wasn't the Rockets. Who had number 1? Completely missed that. It is the Jazz. All right, you want... Nope, definitely not that. I'll give you number 2, and then they want this. Instead of that, it's probably an overpay, but I'll just give them all this. I have too much. I don't even need all this. So, who's the number 1 rated prospect here? Tyron Stokes. Sure. Welcome to the team. We'll upgrade Terrence Shannon Jr. That's fine. I don't really know what else to do. Dillingham Stewart coming back. Maybe we'll upgrade the backup center spot as well. Again, we have a little bit of flexibility here. So, no free agents, but we had a lot of qualifying offers out, didn't we? Yeah, wait, who are we missing here? Oh, wait, no, nobody's missing. Those were team options, weren't they? All right, what we're going to do right now is we're just going to upgrade either center or power forward. I think Newell will likely progress past where Stewart is right now. So Isaiah Stewart, Terrence Shannon Jr., 1 first-round pick. Again, we're kind of... We can get Nikola Vucevic. Maybe I do that. We're kind of just beating a dead horse at this point. I think, ooh, Hartenstein's a fun pickup. All right, that's where I'm going to go. Welcome to the team. There's really no reason for this, but why not? Final season here in Minnesota. Coming off a championship, pretty much the perfect season where Anthony Edwards won regular season MVP and then finals MVP for us. And we are looking to do all of that again. Starting 5 remains exactly the same. Jalen Suggs, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, Ivica Zubac. Bench unit, Rob Dillingham will remain the 6th man. Of course, we brought in Isaiah Hartenstein. Was it necessary? No. Is it fun? Yeah. Austin Newell's up to an 82. Tyron Stokes, of course, we drafted first overall. It's not often the first overall pick is only playing 12 minutes a night, but of course, we're in a pretty rare situation right now. And then I kind of feel bad for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He went from 6th man to kick this video off to 10th, playing 10 minutes a night, but the team got better. I don't really know what else to say. So we're looking to go back-to-back hopefully we do that. We'll see you guys at the end of year number 3. Victor Wembanyama is your MVP here as year 3 does wrap up. Unfortunately, Anthony Edwards cannot go back-to-back, but we do go 72-10 once again. So feeling pretty good about our chances in terms of going back-to-back. Darius Cuff Jr., Rookie of the Year. Again, Tyron Stokes, playing 12 minutes a night, even though he was number 1 overall. Pretty tough shot for him to do that. Gordon Amine coming off the bench, and Charlotte Wemby wins DPOY as well. Cam Boozer, Most Improved. Luka, your Clutch Player of the Year, and Chris Finch. Is that 3 straight Coaches of the Year for Finch? I think so. All right, once again, the 1 seed. 3rd straight season as the 1 seed here in the Western Conference. Anthony Edwards, a new career high at 31 points a game. God damn. I mean, this dude is just special. Rebound department going to be Zubats, then assist is Suggs. Okay, it is us and the Lakers, round 1. Luka. Ronnie's up to an 82, and oh my God, they have Kevin Durant. Interesting. I mean, that's not the easiest first round matchup. Not that there's, any real easy matchups in the West, but we're up 3-0. We end up sweeping them. Moving on to the New Orleans Pelicans here. DeJounte Murray, Trey Johnson. You got DeBansta, Zion, Eve Messi, Jordan Hawkins, Trey Murphy III. Let's see what happens here in the Western Conference semifinals. And we are up 3-0. I was about to say yet to lose a game. It's because I thought about that we were yet to lose a game. That's why we lost the game. I genuinely am not kidding. And, you can't really avoid them. It's just always Dallas. It doesn't really matter what seed they are. And, they somehow added Brandon Ingram. They did lose, Derek Lively. Replacing him with Kessler Edwards is a choice. It's not a good one, but BI now in the starting 5 as well. So here goes nothing as we are hoping to go back to the NBA Finals for the 2nd straight year. We're up 3-1. We close them out in 5. We're taking on Jeremiah Fears in the, Brooklyn Nets. Okay, they've made some nice additions. Scotty Barnes, Walker Kessler. Not bad. I think we're better. I don't think there's much denying that, but solid squad they got there. Thanks for coming out, though. 2nd straight year, we sweep the finals. 2nd straight year, Anthony Edwards, your finals MVP. Wow. What a rebuild. What a fun rebuild. Obviously, when we're doing these teams that have been eliminated late into the postseason, the rosters are, relatively talented. It would be really hard for that not to be the case, but, still got to do them. And obviously here with the Timberwolves today, I in some sense of it, I feel kind of bad for Timberwolves fans because, it was not a lackluster regular season, but I think a lot of people had them maybe in the top 3. The West is just such a bloodbath, but they end up with 49 wins, get that 6th seed, and, beat a good Lakers team in round 1. There's no denying that. They get to round 2. Steph Curry goes down in game 1, and everybody's going to put a little asterisk on it. But, they were just outmatched by the Thunder. Simple as that. I don't think the Timberwolves are a bad team. I think they certainly have flaws like most teams. But, when I look at this team moving forward, Anthony Edwards is only 23 right now. In my opinion, he's one of the top 10 players in basketball. He's going to do nothing but get better, and I do think that they have a competent enough front office to see the pieces that need to be around him. So that's my take on it. I think the future is bright in Minnesota. Hopefully they are able to keep Anthony Edwards happy. But that's going to round this one out. Fun video here today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Of course, as I mentioned earlier on in the intro, I'm recording this on Saturday, so I have no idea if the Knicks and Pacers series is over. If it is, you'll probably see the loser of that series tomorrow. So that's going to do it for me, man. As always, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.